Welcome back to the broadcast. So before the break, I said I wanted to talk about this issue, and I think it's an important one for men and women, both. Have you ever been addicted to a relationship or a person? And I know all of us have had this conversation about relationships that we've been in, and it's kind of an unhealthy.
It's very unhealthy.
Very unhealthy.
I remember having this. I was so in love with this guy, and no matter what he said, no matter what he did, I just kept trying to make it work. And I got him eventually, but it was the worst relationship ever. And so I always tell people, if you have to work that hard for a relationship, it's not
worth
good,
it.
especially as a woman, because the guy should pursue you.
Do you think that it became more about the challenge of getting what you wanted, and then once you had it, you were like, meh?
It's like the chase.
Well,
On to the next one. Do you think that is what it is sometimes?
I think some people that when they're addicted, like I have girlfriends that they can be in a long-term relationship and then get out of it, and a month later they're in another relationship. It's like they're addicted to love. It's like they're addicted to being in a relationship. They're codependent. They can't exist by themselves. And I know guys that are like that too. And I think for me, if I've ever found myself like addicted to a person, it's like, but once I get them, like once I know that like I could just call them up and at a drop of a hat they'd be there.
It's not so interesting.
Over it.
I grew up, my mother took me to the movies as a babysitter. And I watched Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, those women all suffered.
Crazies,
So I literally grew up that thought, if you're not suffering, it must not be love. So I always picked something where I would suffer.
That's good,
really,
Susan.
and how do you know you're addicted? You know you're addicted when you sneak on the floorboard of their car when they're taking a date home.
That's just crazy.
Did you do that? You do what?
Yes, I did.
That's certifiable. That's not just.
I know that right now. That's a stalker, isn't it?
I was going to say that's stalking.
Because I wanted to hear what he
50
said.
Shades of
Yeah.
What did he say to her?
He talked about me.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, but that's not healthy doing
not
that.
healthy.
Come on.
Obviously.
And it must have been very uncomfortable.
It was not. I was loving every minute of it. It was like, I can't believe it. I was 23 years old and I did that.
Wow.
I have other stories too, but I'm not going to tell them.
Why not?
Well, because somebody said the other day we don't have enough shame. I have lots of shame. But there were also funny stories.
Well, and I think there's no shame in discussing the shameful things in your life, because I think especially if you're paying it forward and you're helping somebody else understand a situation that they might be in,
Right.
But
what about you? Have you, Lisa?
I was thinking about this, and I have. I definitely have been sort
Checked up on him?
No, I haven't. Well,
I think there's a difference here
we all
between
do.
addiction, like being addicted to a person, and being crazy obsessed with a person. I don't think those are the same thing.
You mean
There's a fine line.
Like we're talking about checking up on somebody is just being a little cuckoo.
Well, and it's being insecure, and it's a total insecurity,
but I
right?
think that's the same thing as being addicted to a person.
Well, wait a minute.
I think of women that are addicted to people are those women that can't go anywhere without their it's a codependency, but I think you can be codependent and not be crazy.
All right, so let me give you this scenario. Supposing you're with somebody and you suspicion that they're seeing somebody else, and the red flags go up and up. Well, I want to know if I'm right.
But that's not an addiction.
Not anymore. I don't do this anymore. But then I would follow and see where they went.
To see if you're right. I think what we learn as we get older is that first of all, you learn to recognize. You learn to no, it's not bad, because you learn to recognize the red flags, Susie. It's true. As you get older, you learn to recognize the red flags. As you go through these different relationships, and you learn not to make the same mistakes twice. And you learn also to get out if somebody's treating you horribly. And I've had friends who've been through this situation. I was in a relationship like this where if somebody is talking to you in a way that's
Beating
not
you up,
respectful,
you need to get out.
or being physically abusive with you, or verbally abusive, which I think sometimes is worse.
It is worse, yeah.
Get out.
Okay, and so
be strong
these are
enough to
all
get out.
red flags. These are all red flags. And so what normal women do is if they're suspicious, they go through the pockets, they look for lipstick on the shirt, they check the receipts if they can find there any motel receipts.
And I'm saying if you have to do that, you're with the wrong person.
Yes, but
You
I'm
have to do
telling
that.
you that this is what women women do if we feel like we're being cheated.
But then men turn
do it
that
too.
around and they
Men
go,
do it too.
oh my God, she's crazy because she's
That's
going
right.
through my phone bills, and she's crazy because
That's
she's
right.
looking at my. It's like, well, you're crazy because you're sleeping with somebody else. Like,
That's right.
you know, and I could probably have ex-boyfriends that would probably testify to the fact that, like, I've done some crazy stuff in my day.
Yeah.
Like, I've been a little wackadoo. But I think you learn from that
Okay,
because,
so-
like, moving forward, you're like, you see, like you said, you see the red flags and you
see
see
the
the
red
problems.
flags.
What's the
when they're-
craziest thing you've ever done?
What is,
Come on,
what does wackadoo
Come
really
on,
look
I
like?
talked about lying on the floorboard of the back seat.
What does wackadoo look like?
Oh, Jesus, take the wheel.
Did you ever hide in the bushes?
No, I've never done that. I think the craziest thing I would do, I'm the person that, like, if I text you and you don't text me back, I'm like, really? Hello? Hi? Hi. Like, I think that's probably the craziest
Just
thing.
keep calling obsessively until they call you back, or keep.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know your phone is in your hand.
Well, and that's the thing about cell phones, right? Is you know that all of us, your phone is right there for the most part, and if you text somebody or call them and they are not responding to you, I think most people
Maybe
would be
they're-
like,
But I could also say that, like, I haven't been in a serious relationship in 2-3 years now. So for me, it's like, I think I've learned a lot in that time that I think in my next
and
relationship
I
would
think
like to
I
hope
think
that.
you mellow when you take some time out and you're not dating somebody. And I know that was the case for me when in my second divorce. Afterwards, it was a long time before I started dating somebody.
And I think age
And-
factors into it too. Like crazy at 24, 25, 26 versus crazy at 30 to 40, I think is just a different. It's a different echelon of
And I
crazy.
think, you know, dating today is different than dating before. Like for me, I mean, it's been about 15 years. So before it was about calling the person, did they call me, that kind of thing. Now it's like you stalk people's Facebook and
Yeah.
Twitter, and it's like it's taken on a whole nother face.
And I think that learning someone's like love language, like I was probably the type of girl that if a guy didn't call me back, I think he doesn't love me, he doesn't like me. But now I realize maybe that's not, as I've gotten older, I realize, well, maybe that's not how he showed his love. You know, maybe that's not his way of showing. Maybe his love language was gift giving, or his love language was quality time. It wasn't necessarily feeling the need to text me back or feel the need to, you know,
So I think when you ask
tell
the
me those
question,
words of affirmation.
I think when you ask the question, you know, are you in an unhealthy relationship or an addictive relationship? What do you do to get out of it? And we did find some tips from an expert, and they say to assess yourself. And I think that's so important. Like, really stop the crazy just for a second and look at your relationship. What are you getting from it? Like, what is that person bringing to your life? Does he make you a better woman?
Okay, but-
does she make you a better man? And if you can't answer yes to that, then that is a huge red flag.
I think the biggest problem with in abusive relationships and in addictive relationships is the woman says, yes, this is hard, but this is the best I can do.
Sure, and then
So
those are
because of
self-esteem.
low self-image, and they think, well, you know, you just have to live with it, because years ago that's what women did, was live
Right,
with it.
and
we-
isn't
and
that term so
thinking
hard to
that-
hear? Like when women go, "That's the best I can do." It's
Well,
like just because he's the best house on a
heartbreaking.
bad block doesn't mean that he's like the
Right,
best option for you.
That's the other thing this expert says is that know that healthy love exists. Know that there's someone out there that will treat you better than you're being treated if you're being treated poorly. They also say face the pain.
Now, what does that
Absolutely.
mean?
And I think that
And
means
face the fear.
Be
Like, address
addressing and be accepting of the fact that you're in a crappy relationship.
Like that it feels bad.
And that it feels bad,
and that
yeah.
you shouldn't feel this way. So you're
Right.
saying accept that pain and
Right.
then know that this is not good for me.
Right,
I
and
think
don't sweep
admitting
it
that
under the
a lot
rug.
of women have a hard time.
They
doing.
do.
Yeah,
They
it
do.
hurts.
And that's where girlfriends come in, because I'm telling you right now, if every single one of your girlfriends doesn't like the guy you're dating, you've
There's
got a
something
problem.
wrong.
And you're not
Hallelujah.
dating the right. You're not dating the right guy, because those are the women who are with you the most. They know everything about you, because we know how we are as women. We talk about everything in relationships. They know everything.
Well, but
and
let
they
me just say
also
this, Lisa.
know
Some-
what you deserve.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes I think you have to be careful about that, because I've known girlfriends that too, they get jealous when you start dating someone. So I think you got to know for yourself if this
Yeah.
feels good for you.
But I'm saying
And
if
be-
all of your
If they're
girlfriends
telling you like
share
he's
the
unhealthy
same
and he's
opinion.
toxic,
Well,
and-
but
'cause I've had
you'll know
conversation
that.
with
Like you said, if you face your pain, you'll know this doesn't feel right. So I wouldn't say totally depend on your girlfriends, but also realize that, you know, they have their
Yeah, but
opinions.
take their
I've
opinion
had
into consideration.
yeah, I've had girlfriends tell me that they were jealous, like when I started dating
Sure.
someone else
Well,
and
all right,
focused on
and
them.
that same good girlfriend may be cheating on you with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that happens a lot. Your best friend, oh, I've run off with your husband. I mean, that happens a lot. So
I guess then
Trust
this
your
is- then I guess
instincts.
it
So
becomes a
trust no one,
conversation
basically, is what
about
Susie's
choosing
saying.
better friends. But if you have friends that you
trust
that
your
you
own
trust,
instincts and the red flags.
Yes,
That's
'cause
it.
you know.
That's
True.
it.
Also, they say that not to forget the past, to utilize it. So, like we were talking about, learn your lessons and use it for your next
Learn the red
relationship.
flags.
And I think the question is, what do you do when you have, say, you have a girlfriend who's in a relationship, you know it's toxic, she knows it's toxic, she keeps going back. What do you do? What do you say?
You
to
say
someone
one
like that?
time and then let it
let
go.
it go.
And then you let
It's
it go
her
because
path
it's
to
their
walk.
life, yeah.
It's her path, his path to walk.
I'm
You
s-
can't talk him out of it. And let's get out of this. I'm so tired of these relationships.
Yeah. Oh, because you saw Keith doing the
Susie
rap
has to use the restroom,
Here's,
so we
here's
need
the
to go
beauty
for
of it. Here's the beauty of it. We don't have to rap if we still want to talk.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Yeah, we
No.
got 2 hours now on the broadcast. We can talk for as long as we want.
So at what point do we know the conversation is getting boring?
Well, I think when you call it out as
boring.
boring.
You faced your instincts.
That's right. No, I know. Now,
I'm addicted to this
now.
conversation.
I love having you in the studio, Stuart.
I love being here.
Can we get a shot of Stuart?
Stuart.
That's our Charlie.
Let's get a shot of Stuart.
Our executive producer who joins us in the studio now, and he's sort of like watching our Facebook and Twitter pages.
And he's the best guy in the world to work with.
And keeping us on track. He's sort of,
Stuart, have you ever been addicted to love, Stuart?
You guys were talking about people doing crazy things, but you didn't talk about the people who are addicted to being in love. The people who
yeah.
love
Yes.
being in love.
I know some of those
Who don't
too.
leave one partner unless
Unless
they've
they
got
have another
another
one
place
lined
to
up.
go.
Or they jump from one
Yeah.
to the next to another to another.
I think that's an interesting point too, because I've always said that the best way to get over somebody else
Is to get under someone else.
No, I would never be that vile, but yes, absolutely. The best way to
Kidding,
get
Mom.
over someone.
Mom, I'm kidding.
It's true though. It's kind of like, I always call it a shift of focus, and you know, maybe that shift of focus is you get a new job and you throw yourself into your job, or you
go
get a new
shopping.
group of friends, or you go shopping, or you
Well,
do something
you know what
that
I say?
takes your focus away from that.
And mine was, for me, after breaking up, was when I focused on God. Because I think so many times we get caught up into other people and other things, but we need to heal first before we move on.
Yeah.
And so I totally refocused my faith and got back into church and got back into my word, and then things in my life started turning around after that.
Yeah.
And then that's when I met my
And
husband.
that's what my mom's always told me. She says, like, be so buried in your faith and in God that, like, a guy has to go to that to find you.
He's got to go
Which-
to
that
God to
level.
find you. I
Yeah.
love that.
And
by
you know,
the way.
I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, well, you know, the closer I get to God, the worse my life gets." You know,
No.
it's always, of course, that's a helpful
And God
thing.
can be
You know,
anything.
because
Your
it helps
spirituality,
center you.
whatever it is, like your
Yeah.
religion, your
Whatever your
spirituality,
God is,
whatever
yeah.
you believe in. Yeah.
It
Get
just
yourself
gives you
right.
great comfort. And I always say, okay, so let's say you say, well, there is no such thing. Well, look, why don't we just pretend there is? And just try it out and see if you don't find some peace in your life that you didn't have before, and some comfort that there is something beyond yourself
Exactly.
that is helping you move through your own path.
That is, for me, that's what
Amen.
spirituality is just acknowledging that there is a force greater than yourself and something that you can draw on when times are tough. And it's always helped me. And yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen, sister girl.
Okay. Well, I guess when we say amen,
We
it's
had
time to
church
move
this
on.
morning.